What is up guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'll give you my pointers on how to do the best possible day to night drone transition easily and efficiently. Let's get started. The first thing that you need to do if you want to make a transition like this happen, obviously you need to fly 2 times. One at daytime and one at nighttime. To make it easier, you might want to pick a time where the sun is strong but it's almost fading out, and then wait maybe an hour or two until it's almost pitch black but not super pitch black, so you can kind of get the last light from the day in your footage, but still all of the night lights are already on. That will make it a lot easier for you. And of course, if you want to make that, you need to make 2 exactly the same flights, so you can overlay them on top of each other and then make that transition. How to do that? Well, luckily we live in times where our drones are super smart, so there are a lot of different ways to do that. I've actually created a video already on this exact topic. I'll link it down below in the description, but in today's video I will fly normally, because in my first video I showed you how to do it with a hyperlapse. Today I will do it with a traditional normal video. So to make it happen, we need to use waypoints. Luckily, we have waypoints on pretty much all new drones nowadays, and it's really easy to do it. All you need to do is enter waypoints and add your first point where you want your drone to start flying and recording. Then fly to your endpoint and just tap and add a point there. This is where the flight will be over, and then the drone will stop recording. After that, what you need to do is press on that little icon that has a little notepad on it and just save your waypoint. Don't be like me, don't just save it with the time and the basic name that DJI gives you. Save it to whatever region or point of interest you are filming, because that will make it so much easier later when you go back at night when it's dark already, to go back into waypoints, enter that notepad icon again and just select that same waypoint, and then the drone will do exactly the same flight and repeat the same settings, the same speed, everything the same, and record it at nighttime. If you want, you can continue and make more flights, make more waypoints, and create more footage to transition from day to night, but once you're happy, you can start editing. So here we are in Davinci Resolve with my footage that I have shot on the Air 3S. Keep in mind, you don't have to use this software. You can use pretty much any software you like. It's just a personal preference, and it's really up to you to decide which software you want to use. But here we have the 3 daytime shots that I shot with the Air 3S, and here we have the 3 night shots with the Air 3S, which, by the way, I need to reshuffle a little bit so they are properly aligned. Now, the first thing we need to do is properly overlay the footage on top of each other, so we can pretty much start from there. And a good reference point is always something that is well lit and it's easy to spot in both shots, because here, if you notice, we have a lot of dark spots in the footage, which will make it really hard to distinguish a small object. So for me personally, something which I used is, if you notice this building here, it has a lot of sharp edges on top. Right, this one here is a reference point that I want to capture. So when the drone actually just starts losing it out of frame, so for example here, I think it's pretty much right on the edge of the screen. I will press M to put a marker on my clip, and then I will overlay the night footage on top and just start looking for this exact point, which is right here, or maybe just here, and press M. And then I'll need to move those shots right on top of each other, so I'll need some space. So let me move them like so. And now if we go and just take a look at these shots side by side, or not actually side by side, if I lower the opacity of the night footage, I will see pretty much that we have, I mean, it's not very perfectly right on top of it, but this is a good starting point. Unfortunately, it's not as easy as just lining them up together like so. There's a lot of tweaking, a lot of things that now we need to do. We need to play with some of the zoom, the distortion, the positioning of the both clips so we can line them perfectly. One tip that I have for you is to play with the opacity of the top clip always. Like whatever you do, just play with the opacity at all times and pick a random object from this footage and just observe how it stacks up against the other clip. For example, the tip here of this building, the one that we have here lit up, is not exactly the same as we have here on the bottom layer. So of course we need to pick an object that we will try to keep in the shot at all times, perfectly aligned in both of these clips. So for me, it has to be something that grabs your attention. Obviously, small things like the lamp poles or these trees are not the most interesting parts of the footage. It's not going to be where your eyes will be drawn. Most of your attention will be drawn towards this building, in my opinion at least, towards this building and towards this building. So we have to make sure that all those three are pretty much perfectly lined up. So let's start with this main building. Like I said, this is a university. So I will start by dragging my night footage clip on top a little bit to the left. And you shouldn't worry too much about other things being without perfect lining up, because we'll take care of that, or at least we'll try to. Now, if we lower the opacity, we will see those lamp posts are not exactly, we see them here because of that movement that we did. They're not exactly perfectly lined up. We can play with the zoom a little bit. We can actually zoom out a little bit to play with those things. And this is a lot of trial and error until you make it perfect, and or at least almost perfect, because there are always other factors that are contributing to not properly aligning those clips perfectly fine every single time, like wind, like some vibrations, like any gusts that might really push the drone a little bit for a second or two. There's just no way to make it absolutely perfectly fine every single time. But what we can do is search for an effect here, like here we can start looking for this lens distortion, and we can put it here on our second clip. Now don't worry about all this, because we will make it work. So now we can actually start distorting our footage, but for that we need a little bit more opacity, actually, like so. And then we can go into our effects and start playing with those RGB distortions, so we can enable them to work together or just individually. But for this case, I think we need to use them together. So make sure you are trying to line up those buildings. Like I said, the most important buildings are these three right here. Play with this, play with the position as well, because those things really affect how your image is distorted. And like I said, unfortunately, this is not an easy way to get it perfectly fine. It's a lot of trial and error, but I did it already once for the intro, and I think I got it pretty well. So this is what you need to do. Those are the adjustments that you need to do. And then when you're ready, you will see a very good balance between what it was on the daytime footage and what it is on the nighttime footage. It actually looks pretty good as of right now without making too many corrections. And don't worry about all of this, because now what we need to do is create a compound clip. Press enter and create a compound clip for the bottom one as well. Now we can select both of these and just zoom in for both at the same time until we lose that distortion here and we don't see it anymore in our footage. I think this is pretty good. And those are our clips lined up together. Unfortunately, the work is not done yet. So what we need to do next is to trim the beginning of the night clip, of course, because we want to have a starting point from here, from the day clip. We'll let it play for a few seconds. And then at a specific point, we need to start introducing the night footage, which I think right about here would be fine. Of course, you might want to add your music and just fine-tune it to match the beat of your music. But for now, since we don't have music yet, what I'm going to do is just add this little fade-in transition, and I'm not going to keep it very short because I want it to be gradual. And now if we play our footage, we will see that we will have our day to night transition like so. Yeah, it's not really ideal from this example that I gave you, but there's a lot more tweaking that can be done for this specific example, so you can make it fit perfectly fine. Now, it's pretty much the same for the rest of the footage. You have to do the same for all three scenarios, or however many scenarios you have. You can do the same thing. This is exactly what I did for the intro of this video. And the final thing you need to do is obviously grade your footage, because right now here it's a flat D-Log M footage, and here it's a footage shot in normal color profile, but it's still not color corrected or color graded. So I will do that right now with my own LUTs, and I'll show you the end result. So here's my graded footage now and how it looks with those transitions applied on top. I really like the orange and teal vibe from the night footage, and I'm a big fan of that. Next we have the second shot, which looks pretty cool with those orange leaves and trees, and then we have this banging, absolutely stunning sunset. And finally we have this building, which now when I see it, it looks kind of crooked, but you get the point. And it's really beautiful as well at night if you take a look at those just shining lights from the windows. I'm a big fan of that. So this is how those things are done. It's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of movement around. It's a lot of zooming in, pixel peeping, a lot of playing with the opacity here, which actually I will show you here. If I play with it, you will see, especially if you do it slowly, you might want to pick a point where you're taking a look at, for example, here at the edge of this building. Take a look at that and just start maximizing the opacity of the second clip, and you will see that it's pretty much not moving at all. So it's perfectly matching between those two clips. It goes the same way for this tip of the building. It's exactly the same position. And keep in mind, one last thing is that because some of these objects have been lit from one side because of the sun, and then from the other side because of these lamps and lights, they create a little bit of, I would say, confusion sometimes, because they look a little bit different because of their shades. For example, here, this top here is looking kind of different because it's lit from the inside, and here it's lit from the outside. So you don't have that, you don't really see that shape super well. Whereas here you see kind of like a different shape, but because that's kind of like an optical illusion because of the light. So keep in mind, those things kind of change because of the light. So those are a little bit different when you go through day and night footage, but just try to pick an object that doesn't really go through those changes that much, such as that edge of the building here or the top of the building. They remain pretty much the same whichever way you look at them, regardless whether that's during daytime or nighttime. So those are your reference points that will take your footage to the next level and make your transition look really solid and really good. It is exactly the same case here for this building, for example, which is not super well visible, but it's still kind of visible. If we lower the opacity and we take a look at the day footage, we will see that it's exactly on the same spot in our footage. And that's what you need to achieve. And this is how you end up with those beautiful day to night drone transitions. I hope this video was helpful and informative for you to make it happen on your own. If you do happen to make this same transition, please tag me on Instagram, tag me on your videos, send me those links on Instagram. I want to see your transitions if you happen to make some of those. I'm really curious to see what your end results will look like. But for now, this is everything I have for you. This is Mike from Drone Supremacy. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll catch you in the next one very, very soon. Ciao.